Season 1, Episode 9. In this episode, I'm talking with Lisa Genovese of Bottomline Marketing. We chat about marketing principles, innovation and disruption in business today, mentoring at ATBX, how to build a great team, finding authenticity, Netflix, scuba diving, clamping, rodeos, iPhone versus Android, blue-footed boobies, and so much more. What didn't we talk about? We covered it all, including what she would change if she knew then what she knows now. I'm your host, Michael Dean Darby, Season 1, Episode 9, Living the Six Principles on RebelRebel. Hey, we are here in the Kensington studio with Lisa Genovese. If I pronounced that right?
You sure did.
Yes. And you're the creative powerhouse behind Bottomline Marketing.
Well, I like to take that title when I can.
Nice. Do you say on your cards, powerhouse?
I think that I should change my title to that. President seems so boring now that we're saying powerhouse.
Right? Creative powerhouse. El Presidente.
I like it.
You've been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You're a big deal in this city.
Well, I don't know if I'd say I'm a big deal, but I have been doing it for a little while now.
Yeah. I'm so stoked to hear about your story and your journey, and I mean, you guys do cool stuff.
Thank you. We like to think so. We have lots of fun with what we do.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
How did it start?
Well, my background, whenever I start this story, people giggle a little bit. I didn't start out in the marketing and business world at all.
Oh.
I actually worked with children with learning disabilities. So I helped with writing their IPPs for school. And we ran tutoring programs, summer camp programs, that sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
And I always gravitated, though, to the marketing and the business side. And that was just a natural progression for me. So I eventually decided to sell that company and go back to school and take lots of business and marketing.
Yeah.
And then when I got out of school, I worked for an agency. I started out as a copywriter.
Okay.
And they did marketing for IT and MSP, managed service provider firms. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth in the marketing industry.
Yeah.
And then in 2011, I guess it is, I left, and my two direct reports from that agency left with me. They still work for me today.
Wow.
Yeah, and the rest is kind of history.
Wow, that is cool. So, got so many questions. Eugene Schwartz, any opinion on the copywriter extraordinaire?
What? A very talented writer for sure. And I mean, there are so many talented writers out there. I think from a copywriting perspective, it really depends on the voice you're trying to achieve, who the audience is, and that sometimes determines, why a copywriter is a better fit for one subject or the other. But
what did you like the most about copywriting?
Wait,
hold on. Did you like copywriting?
You know what? I'll be honest. I loved copywriting at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible copywriter now. I've completely lost. You lose it if you don't use it, and that is such a case for me. But copywriting in the beginning was a way to be creative and kind of get my thoughts out on paper and help clients tell their stories. Right. If I'm being honest, my time as a copywriter there was very short. I actually moved into a consulting role pretty quickly.
Oh, wow.
Where I started to help a lot more with strategies and market research, things like that, which is more part of my job today than copy, but I review lots of copy now. Yay!
That's cool. Yeah. Where did you go to school? Let's give a shout out.
I bounced all around. I ended up graduating from Athabasca University.
Yeah.
So it was right around the time when Mount Royal was still a college. Hopefully that doesn't date me.
I taught there while it was a college.
Cool. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I did a year at Lethbridge, and then I came back to Calgary and did some Mount Royal stuff, and then ended up finishing through Athabasca.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. What sort of things do you see right now, like in your business? So, Bottomline Marketing. I'll make sure I put the link in the stuff.
Awesome.
But what do you guys see? What are you seeing the most right now?
Oh, there's a lot of change. Going on. There is ever evolving industry because there's disruption.
Right.
There's new players coming into spaces that people really, I don't think, have been paying attention to. Oh, there's this little guy over here, and then all of a sudden this little guy becomes this huge company overnight.
Right. And
the other players in that category are going, oh my God, we didn't even know what hit us.
What happened?
Like, you look at the Blockbuster Netflix example, and that is like it to a T.
Oh.
You know, they were out of business in 18 months because they didn't pay attention, and I'm seeing that more and more and more and more. And there's so many categories, industry categories, that are seeing disruption that I think people are going to have to evolve or they're going to die.
Interesting.
You know, you look at what's going on in the finance and the banking industry. You know, those big banks have, not to throw big banks under the bus, but they're going to have to evolve.
Right.
They are going to have to change the way that they do business. Otherwise, there's going to be some small guys that are going to capitalize on what they're not paying attention to.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
From a what we do sort of mentality, that's...
Totally.
I love innovation. I love disruption.
Totally. Me too. It's an interesting thing because you've kind of got the brands who have done a great job of evolving when there's disruption in their space and finding new ways to do business. And then we have the ones that, haven't been so successful and it's kind of led to their extinction.
Yeah.
Then we've got this kind of whole new breed of brand that, like the Ubers, the Airbnbs of the world, that have created a new category. They are the disruptors. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that's wild. So what, bottom line. What do you guys, what space do you play in? Do you have a favorite?
Well, we do a lot in helping those next generation businesses. So whether they are the disruptor or whether they're one of those companies that are feeling the pinch from disruption and figuring out, how do we actually evolve in order to be successful in this new market. So a lot of market research, looking at trend data, statistical analysis, and figuring out, who and what should we be paying attention to, and how do we position ourselves so that we are going to be competitive. And then writing full marketing plans from that and helping clients execute on it. So.
How long, what is a valid length of time for a marketing plan at this point?
Well, the longest that we write plans for in today's day and age is about 12 months. But if I'm being honest, typically there is some shifts through that 12 months.
Sure, like little pivots and changes of direction.
For sure.
Yeah, because you have to stay nimble because everything's happening so freaking quickly.
So fast.
Yeah. Wild. Oh my goodness. Tell me about your team. You've built this crazy kick-ass team.
I'm pretty lucky. I get to work with some very, very smart people and some very, very fun people. So we have, a full creative team, right from art direction, copywriting, through to web development, so front-end, back-end developers, strategists, market research. So it's pretty cool to see everybody do their piece, but then also work as a larger pod, if you will.
Bringing it together.
Yeah, but every day I'm amazed at what my team brings to the table, and hey, did you know this changed overnight? And hey, what about this thing going on over here? And it's so rewarding to see them work together and kind of make the magic happen.
That's awesome. Give me your very favorite type of client to work with.
Oh, that's a hard question. Usually for me, it's a client that does something very unique. So they do something totally different in their industry that nobody else either has the ability to offer or do. And that, I can think of a handful of clients that are in B2B and B2C. But usually it's that uniqueness and that really we have created something that nobody else can do. And it gets me excited. Oh,
that's cool. So are you a startup or do you rebrand? What's your...
So I'll be honest, we've worked with companies from startup right through to Home Depot. We've done a wide range of size of company. I'd say the ones that we work best with are usually past the startup mode, but they want to go play in the sandbox with the big boys, but they're not really sure how do we get from A to B.
Don't have the corporate maturity yet.
So a mid-sized company, they're still kind of figuring things out, but they have a business model, they have minimum viable product, that kind of thing.
What are your steps when you you don't necessarily have to pivot a brand or rebrand. Sometimes you just have to hone a message or sell a service, or what does that look like for you?
So the first thing that we do with every single client is what we call an impact assessment, and that's really going through a full brand analysis. We have 6 principles that we feel every client needs to embody in order to really create an impact on the world. So we go through that brand analysis. We do a competitive analysis, looking at, okay, here's what everybody else is doing, but how can we really set you apart as an exclusivity?
Right.
And then very deep dive into consumer research and understanding who their customer is, what makes them tick.
Yeah.
There's a ton of other stuff we do at impact assessment, but those are the high level points.
Yeah.
And then we write a full marketing plan. So here's where you are today, here's where you're trying to go, and all the steps that it's going to take to get there, making sure, though, the most important part, that the marketing and the business goals are aligning. Because if they're not, what's the point in doing marketing?
Right. Yeah, that's great. But lots of people don't. There's agencies in town even that don't tie that together.
It's true.
It's kind of weird.
Very true. But so that's where we start, and then we move on to implementation, whatever it looks like. From the marketing plan, it can be a lot of different things.
What's your plan for your business over the next year?
That's a great question. We're actually going through quite a bit of change right now, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So we decided this year that we are going to go through a visual rebrand because,
fun.
Yeah, it's been fun, but it's like doing brain surgery on yourself. It's
Totally.
not very fun.
Yeah.
So we are planning. Oh, this has been hush hush, but I'm announcing it. We are dropping marketing from our name because it's really only one portion of what we actually do.
Yeah.
So we are going to be known as Bottomline.
Bottomline.
Yeah. So there's a lot of change that's happening with that. We are onboarding somebody new right now, so adding to our team again.
Wow.
Lots of new clients in the works. So it's kind of a growth year, but it's a bit of a reset year for us as well, because it's taken us a while to get to this who we really are and who we're going to be when we grow up kind of thing.
Yeah.
So lots of big plans.
So I have all these new questions.
All right, let's hear them.
How do you perform that brain surgery on yourself? Like, do you treat yourself like a client, or do you have to trick yourself? What does that look like?
This is a really good question. So we tried to do it ourselves, I'll admit, and it was not overly successful because we were all way too close to it.
Oh, sure, you can't see us right in front of your face.
That's right. So we ended up bringing in an outside consultant who's helped us. Shout out to Trisha Murray. She's amazing. And she came in and kind of did her own version of an impact assessment on us. So helped us with new positioning, all the competitive analysis for our customers. It was so great to have somebody else help us with that. Yeah. And scary all at the same time.
Yeah, but it must be nice to be able to see your business through somebody else's eyes.
Yeah, it was super helpful, and what I really appreciated about the process is she did a lot of work with our team, kind of gathering information where I wasn't in the room, so people could really say what they wanted to, and I was really pleased to hear some of that feedback. Yeah. And also she spoke to clients to get their insight on what they felt we did best, how they see us, and it was... there were a few tears on hearing some of that feedback of like, oh, they actually think that about us.
They like me. They really like us. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was really great. And then she is going to be helping us through this whole visual rebrand process. So our creative team will be doing a lot of the actual work, but she's going to be reviewing and kind of being that nudging in the right direction of no, Lisa, you can't do that.
That is fun.
Yeah.
That's ridiculously brave to do, especially for an agency.
It's been hard. I am not going to say for 1 second that it hasn't been difficult, but it's a good experience, and we certainly weren't too humble to be able to say, look we can't really do this ourselves. We do it every day for clients, but this is not something we can really perform all on our own.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah.
Okay, so what's your dream client? Like, you can drop names if you want.
Oh, dream client. We actually work with a few right now.
Nice!
But, dream client is back to that whole, we do something really unique and different than everybody else. But they're on the same wavelength where they're brave, they're willing to do something completely different, and they're not afraid of change. Most of our clients that work well with our team have that entrepreneurial nature kind of in their core, especially like everybody in their leadership team is kind of an entrepreneur at heart, and it just seems to mesh well with who we are as a team because we're not scared to try something different. Certainly the contrast to that is big corporate that isn't willing to change,
Yeah.
not typically a dream client, just because it's hard to make change in a corporation that's maybe already kind of set in their ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your oh my goodness, sorry. Phone is going sync. But we've also got construction next door, so what the heck? Why not? We can have a phone buzz too.
That's right.
What advice would you give to a solopreneur or an entrepreneur that's trying to figure out their brand or their marketing, and they don't have the budget to hire, a bottom line?
That's a great question. I do a ton of mentorship through ATBX.
Nice.
And one of the questions that I get asked all the time is very similar to this of, okay, well, where do I start with my marketing? And so many people are coming to me and going, oh, I need to be doing social media, or I need to build a new website, and I need to be doing this, need to be doing that. And I always ask why. Why do you feel that? Yeah. Because it's very backwards from my philosophy to run out and do implementation before we've done our groundwork first.
Right, what's the story?
Yeah, so to bring it back to your question, we really need to start with, who are you as an organization? What do you do differently than everybody else? Who is your customer?
Yeah.
If there's one thing you have to pick, focus on your customer and what makes them tick.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, because if you haven't understood that first, pretty much everything you do and say is likely to not resonate. You're just chucking spaghetti at the wall and hoping that it sticks.
I did a talk today at ATB Entrepreneur Center,
right.
And it was on the this thing I call the 7-touch exploding brand technique. And one of the questions that came up after this, because part of the talk is, who are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for? Why do they care?
Love it.
Right. That you got to know that. If you don't, and there's a addition to that, which is, why do you care? Like, what wrong are you trying to right? What pain are you trying to solve? And the lady was asked, she's a great question. She goes, well, what happens if what you want to do doesn't match with what the customer wants? Like, how do you train the customer to want that? And I'm like, well, maybe we need to look at this a different way.
Yeah.
That you might be missing your market opportunity right there, because they're just, in saying that, they're telling you what they want.
That's right.
Can you pivot and get that? So
that's a good point. Super good point.
Yeah, your audience is key for sure.
It is, and I think that it's something that is so often ignored. You don't look
Isn't that weird?
It is weird. You look at really big companies, and sometimes I'm thinking, like, guys, like, how did you miss this one fundamental piece? Like, was there nobody in your marketing department that went to marketing school?
Right.
This is like
anything.
The number one thing.
Yeah. You're a customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't care.
But it's interesting. I was giggling with a colleague of mine the other day. I will keep the company unnamed. But he is a gentleman and had gone to their website and had signed up for their mailing list. And market segmentation. They were sending him female clothing ads.
What?
And he's like, seriously, guys? Like, how did you get this one wrong?
Oh my.
Like, my user behavior is nowhere near female.
Wow. Whoops.
Yeah, whoops is right.
Oh, can you imagine how much lost opportunity it is?
Oh, yeah. And he's like, after like the fourth email marketing piece that I got with like bikinis, I went, okay, I think it's time to unsubscribe.
Wow. Oh, I want to know the name of the company, but we'll keep it down.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. Oh, that's nuts. What's the hardest thing you've had to manage as a president of an agency?
That's a great question. There's been lots of challenges, and I would never sugarcoat that. Certainly, staff and team can be a challenging one. Maybe about 2 years ago, we hired a firm called Culture Smith. They're here in the city, and they helped us really figure out who were our key players, who was right for our team, and we actually went through a pretty significant reorg.
Oh, wow.
We let go quite a few people who, were better suited for other jobs, I think, and brought on some really rock star staff. It's been one of the best things we've ever done.
Culture Smith, I've never heard of them. This is amazing.
They're a really, really cool firm. They base a lot of their philosophies based on personality colors, but they talk a lot about your culture line, your competence line when you're hiring. And they gave us a battery of questions that we use not only for bringing on new team members, but also looking at even potential clients and vendors. So we certainly don't say yes to every client. It's got to be a fit both ways, and it is just been really, really awesome. So certainly staffing has been a challenge. And just the regular grind of being an entrepreneur. Like, time is short. You're still learning. You're always learning.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of if there's any specific learnings. I mean, God, I could give you mistakes that I've made over the years and learned the hard way. I could write a book, but definitely around when you're managing people, even learning how to build a process within a business hasn't been easy. I know, yes, sometimes as business owners we might be good at our craft, but we may not be great at running a business.
Right.
And they're two very, very different things. And I've tried very hard over the last, I guess it's been about a year, where I want to build very systematized, steps of this is the way we do it.
Right.
So that
codify it.
So that it's new team member joins, then they've got a system or a process to follow.
Yeah.
We've done that with our impact assessments, and it's been very successful. Here are the steps of how we get there, and it's customized to every client, but it's successful, I think, because of the process that's followed as well.
What do you think the mix is between magic and science?
Oh, another really great question. I do think that marketing itself has a lot more science behind it than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
I think that there is a level of magic, though, but that typically comes from the creative side. So if we're looking at the messaging or the actual creative used in a campaign, that's where the magic happens. But the science behind it it's really quite formulaic when you look at, here's who the customer is, here's how many times they need to see it, here's all the touch points that need to happen before they buy. But I think not a lot of people give marketing that credit, probably because it isn't always done well.
Yeah, true. And do you feel that there's I've been reading some articles lately about the shift that we're seeing with the glut of information we're getting bombarded with, that the trust level, even for people in ads, is getting now disregarded because you can almost sense when it's contrived. So we block it out. We become ad blind. Absolutely.
And I think that marketers that are focusing solely on just ads are leaving tremendous amount of money on the table and tremendous amount of opportunity on the table. Consumers in today's day and age, just seeing an ad, that is like one of 15 touch points that actually needs to happen. There has got to be much, much more to engagement than just seeing an ad. And there are so many marketers out there that are just still pouring their ad dollars into ads and disregarding things like culture, authenticity, finding ways to build a community. I mean, that really segues into 6 principles that I was touching on earlier. So we've got remarkability, value, emotional quality, brand attachment, immersive experience, and greater purpose. And
like that.
Out of those 6 things, a lot of people think they only need to embody, 1 or 2. But you really should be looking at all of those things. And when you do, it will help you create that other engagement. It should play into your brand as a whole. So yes, emotional quality might be part of an ad.
Sure.
But it's really the essence of a brand, and that's how people can see themselves in that brand. That's how that's why people buy from Apple. You look at Apple's brand, they embody all 6 of those things.
Right.
What's
your favorite movie right now? Switch things up on you.
That's a great. To be honest, I don't watch a ton of TV. I when I get the chance, I really enjoy reading. For personal stuff, I like reading science fiction and fantasy, and I kind of like those types of movies. So I've just finished on Netflix Colony.
I haven't seen that.
It's very interesting. Some of it's a little far-fetched with the aliens and the rest of it, but it's pretty cool.
A little bit of suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Cool. What's on your bookshelf?
Well, I was noting a book that I just finished reading when I walked in. It's Jen, I think her last name's pronounced Sincero. You're a Badass at Making Money. Her first book, You're a Badass, I intend to read that too, is hilarious.
Awesome.
I loved it. I also recently finished Rocket Fuel, And Traction is the first book in that kind of series.
Yeah.
I loved Traction and really enjoyed Build to Sell. That was actually what sparked for me when we talked about process and systematizing your business. That really came, not that I'm intending to sell bottom line, but it really put a fire under my tail of, to create something valuable, you really need to have a system in place. So
you can't manage what you don't measure, kind of thing.
Totally.
Figure that out.
Yeah.
Cool. Favorite vacation spot? Do you take a vacation as an entrepreneur?
Not as often as I probably need to. Last year we did a trip to Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. Probably one of the best vacations we've ever taken. I loved it.
So give me some highlights.
Well, when we first got there, we went up to the mountains. It's called Papayacta. And there's like a spa, middle of nowhere. But it was so just relaxing to kind of hang out. Loved it there. And then when we went to Galapagos Islands, I do quite a bit of diving and
nice.
we did some snorkeling, and it was just so many things to see there that you can't see in other places of the world.
Turtles,
lots of turtles, tortoises. I got corrected on multiple different instances of, no, that's a tortoise, not a turtle, Lisa, get it right.
Yeah.
But with lots of turtles and tortoises, the blue-footed boobies are pretty cool. Their
wild.
feet are like neon blue.
Crazy.
The pictures hardly even do it justice.
Why? Is there a reason?
There isn't actually a scientific reason. Researchers have been trying to figure that out for years and years. Some say it's the mineral content in, I guess, where their food grows, and then the sun beating down on their feet is what causes them to be neon blue.
Crazy.
But it's pretty crazy. And there's some other birds there, like one that has this giant throat that's bright red that balloons out. It's really pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me about diving. So what do you love about it? Let's talk about diving.
I love just, it's kind of a whole different world down there.
Yeah.
It really, and you can go down and feel like you've been gone for 5 minutes and you've been gone for 45. It's a whole other world and things, again, that you can't see any other place.
Yeah.
So I find it kind of like a bit meditative, if you will.
Yeah. Neutral buoyancy is kick-ass.
Yeah.
I love that world.
Yeah. It's something that I wish I could do way more often. I wish I lived on a beach where I could go every day.
Have you gone diving in Canada?
You know what? I haven't. Most of the diving I've done has been abroad. Probably the best trip I've done was Australia.
Oh, wow.
But that was, in fairness, about 10 years ago, and I've heard since that, pretty sad that a lot of the reef is dying now.
Oh,
it's definitely not the same as when I was there.
Oh,
but
that's too bad.
It is.
What's the coolest thing you've seen underwater?
I really enjoy seeing eagle rays. I don't know. There's something about them that's a little bit magical.
Yeah.
You don't see them that often when you're diving either.
I've never seen one of them.
Really?
Yeah.
I have seen one on 3 different occasions. And every time I'm like, oh my God, we just saw an eagle ray. This might be the last time in my life, but we just saw an eagle ray.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool. And when we were in the Galapagos, we did quite a bit around some sharks, which was really cool to see too.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, really?
What kind of sharks?
Scared? Most of them are nurse sharks. I'm trying, to be honest, I can't remember the second. There was another type of shark that was supposed to be a little more aggressive. They didn't bother us, but it was pretty neat. We did this one dive where there was like lava rock formations, and he went down and there was a cave and there was like 15 sharks in this cave. It was really pretty cool.
That's really rad.
Yeah.
I was diving off of Boracay. We were supposed to see white-tip sharks.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't get down to there's a shelf. It was a story, but I've never dove with sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's on my list.
That's cool. I've been a little fearful of going down like in a cave or in a cage with some of the.
Yeah, I'm not down for that.
No, I think that's a little bit scary. Cage or not, they might eat you.
Yeah, well, I don't like the idea of them chumming water and stuff to get the sharks to react. I think that's poor.
I totally agree with you. On the same trip too, one of the other really neat things was these manatees were swimming by our boat when we were going out on this trip that day. And I have never seen anything quite that large. Like, I've seen lots of whales, like killer whales and stuff, being out on the ocean, but it was insane.
Really? They're that big?
It was humongous, and it would do.
I can't even imagine.
Like, it would do this. It'd flap its wings. I guess you'd call them wings, and it would be like a whole boat length ahead of us before you could even get out of the boat to swim with it.
A manatee.
Yeah, it was insane.
I'd see them as just sort of hanging out, like doing nothing.
This one was literally like the size of our diving boat. It was insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So your favorite thing to do in Calgary? What's your go-to?
In the city. I do a lot outside the city. But
okay, well, tell me about outside the city.
I'll tell you about that. We do lots of camping. So rural areas.
Do you wet or dry camp? Do you do both?
Well, we have a trailer, so I have to admit it's a little bit of glamping.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we'll go out to like Cypress or places that are kind of crown land. We also do quite a bit in the mountains. Yeah. Lots of like biking. I really enjoy kayaking. It's again that meditative. I don't know, there's something about the water with me. Yeah. I joke all the time that I think we need to get a pool so that I have some source of water in my life on a daily basis.
Awesome.
But
I have a pool in my backyard.
Oh, how awesome!
Yeah, it's like it's a little bit bigger than a turtle pool, but
well, that's okay.
Whatever
gets the job done. It's still water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's your favorite restaurant?
Oh, I really enjoy Alloy. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I am not.
It's off McLeod Trail and I think 42nd in the southeast. Kind of a kitschy little spot, but they have great food. Mostly just little bits of everything. I was going to say mostly just regular kind of Western food, but you can get like seared scallops and lots of different things. Yeah. I also quite enjoy going to Notable. I really enjoy their food there too. It's a great restaurant.
And have you been to the Nash?
I have. It's actually right down the street from our office. So I go there weekly.
Perfect.
Food's good there too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For sure.
Okay, cool. So good recommendations. Awesome. Live music. Do you check that out at all?
I do. Everybody's going to judge. I'm a huge country music person.
We're coming into your time then.
We are coming into my time.
By the time this airs, we'll be like right into Stampede, I think.
Well, there you go. Yeah. There you go. And there's a lot of fantastic artists coming to the city for Stampede. One of my new kind of favorite artists that's up and coming is Leaving Thomas. They are part of, it's a duo, it's a guy and a girl, and the guy is actually part of a marketing community that I'm part of, and we had met, and at that time he was still really new into the music scene, and they just signed a record deal and they're releasing an EP. What? They just were nominated for SiriusXM's newest artist. Like, there's tons of cool stuff that's happening for them. They're playing in Nashville North this year. Yeah. And I'm going to Luke Bryan during Stampede. I'm really looking forward to that.
Don't know who that is.
Fair. I'm not going to judge too much.
Yeah, I got nothing.
That's all good. But yeah, I know we do quite a few country music concerts every year.
Cool. So are you a fan of the Calgary Stampede then?
I am. I really enjoy rodeo. I grew up in a rural community, kind of grew up around rodeo. So yeah, Stampede's a good time.
You got your own boots?
Yeah.
Got your own hat?
I don't wear a hat typically anymore, but I definitely, like, jeans and boots are my weekend apparel. So, yep, I wear the same thing during Stampede.
Awesome. Oh my God, I need to know. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Yes.
Yeah. But when I say that, everybody thinks that I'm in the marketing industry and I'm crazy. I am PC when it comes to computer. I know.
What?
I'm seeing the twitching going on over there.
What?
I know.
Really? Your team, your creative team?
Everybody's Mac.
Mac pros.
I just can't wrap my head around different operating system. I guess I'm old school.
It is different. That is for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Crazy. What thing right now in your life are you most proud of?
First thing that pops into my head is my dog Mickey. I know that seems silly, but he is my little guy. He comes to work with me every single day.
Yeah.
He's chairs majority of client meetings. He sits at the head of the boardroom table, and
I was hoping we would get to meet him.
keeps everybody in order. But he's getting up there in age, but definitely still my pride and joy.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a Boston Terrier.
Boston Terrier. And how old is he?
He is 11. He'll be 12 in November.
He's seen some stuff.
He has seen some stuff, but
that's cool.
He's still up and kicking and still as spry as ever.
Oh, that's awesome. Inglewood.
That's right.
Cool. Now, do you guys... He's an office dog.
He is, yeah. He comes to work every day. He's part of team meetings, client meetings. Like, everybody, if Mickey doesn't come to the office, everyone's like, is Mickey okay?
Oh, no, really?
We keep joking that we need to get him like a team mascot cape or something.
Right, that's awesome. What's his favorite food?
Well, he...
is he spoiled?
He's spoiled. He actually eats it. I have to cook his food. He has pancreas disease. I'm not that high maintenance person. But he eats ground turkey and yams and broccoli.
Wow.
I know.
That's awesome.
Spoiled dog, all right.
Yeah, okay. Is he allowed on furniture?
He is. There is one chair in our house that's it's like white fabric. He's not allowed on that chair. He has never been allowed on that chair. But everywhere else, he pretty much free reign. Yeah.
If you could do anything different at all, what would it be?
Oh, if I knew now what if I knew back then what I know now, you know what? I don't know if there's anything that I would necessarily do differently, only because it's made me stronger. The lessons I've learned, even though they may have been hard, I don't know if I want to give up those lessons. But it certainly would have been nice to get to these points faster.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would dispute that. You know what? Probably one of the biggest things would have been I would have hired more people faster.
Oh.
So although I had 2 people right from the get-go, David and Dinesh, who invaluable members of our team, they've been great and really saw us through startup till now.
Yeah.
I wish I would have hired more help for myself and not tried to do it all myself. Like,
that's great.
Accounting, I hate doing accounting. I should have hired an accounting firm like right off the hopper. Small things like that. Yeah. But lessons that I learned, that's for sure.
Right. You're like hiring people. Like I love hearing this, first of all, because I think it's something that entrepreneurs go through a lot, is that I've got to do this all on my own.
Right.
I've got this, I can't trust anybody, and blah, blah, blah. Totally. So I think it's great news for people listening to go, oh, cool, hire people. Obviously there's lots of stuff that goes along with it.
Oh, there is.
But, and I'm sorry, the name of that firm, the...
Culturesmith.
Culturesmith.
Yeah.
I definitely need to check them out, because that sounds amazing.
Very much do.
You've come a long ways, and I'm really stoked about your journey, and you are so very humble and easy to talk to. And I'm really excited about your pivot too. I can't wait to see what's going to come out of that.
Thank you. We're pretty excited about it. I think we're going to show the world how we're different.
That's awesome. Living the brand.
You bet. Awesome. World domination.
Sweet. I'm trying to think if I have anything else I want to ask you. We covered a lot of ground.
That's awesome.
One last thing.
Please.
Maybe a couple last things. Social media. Rate these in terms of importance. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
For me personally, or from a business standpoint?
Business.
Oh, I'm going to answer that with it depends, and it depends on where your customer is hanging out.
Cool.
We don't even have an Instagram account.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's not where our typical customer hangs out.
Okay, good to know. Now, how about you personally?
I'm a Facebook user. I try, because social media is part of my day job, try to spend as little time as possible, but certainly Facebook is, for me, where it's at. I do spend a little bit of time on LinkedIn.
Yeah, totally forgot them.
But there's a private Facebook group who you and I know each other through, called CAB, which I really enjoy. Social media has been a way to bring together entrepreneurs share ideas, support one another, and it's a fantastic group. And I think that's really what social media and community is all about.
Right.
That's the whole point of why social is in social media.
Yeah, right. And it's so nice to be able just to connect with people on that level.
Totally.
And have you can ask anything. Like what a great open group. Now I know they're not all like that.
Nope.
What about YouTube?
I do enjoy YouTube, especially for how-to things.
Yeah.
Like my mother was having trouble with her fire alarm, and we couldn't figure out, she changed the battery in it, but it kept beeping and we couldn't figure out why. And then we just YouTubed the model, and what does it show you but a video of how to take it off the roof and make it quit beeping.
You're kidding.
Like, who would have thought Google could have told us that?
Perfect. Thanks, YouTube.
But YouTube is a great source for tons of different stuff, even from a business standpoint of how do I set up a social media account? How do I write a blog post? I mean, there is a plethora of information out there, and one of the fastest growing search engines out there is YouTube.
Yeah, number 2, I think. Still, it's got to be creeping up.
Totally.
Yeah, that's cool. Snapchat, is that even a thing?
I personally don't use it a ton.
Yeah.
I get lots of Snapchats from my friends, but I really don't respond back with a selfie or a video. That's not my deal. They usually get a Mickey video back.
Perfect.
This is what I think about that.
That's awesome. What's your favorite season?
Summer. Definitely summer.
Now, you said you grew up rural?
I did.
In Alberta?
I did.
Okay.
So I grew up between here and Medicine Hat on a ranch.
Oh, nice.
So summer was always kind of it was all year round you work hard on the ranch, but definitely summer was a time when you got to do more riding and branding time and all that kind of stuff, which I really, really enjoy.
Yeah. Cool. So you're an equestrian?
I used to be. I rode actually very competitively until I was about 18.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up in the rodeo community, and then about age 13, I made a shift and I started show jumping. And then that kind of took me on a bit of a whirlwind tour. So from about 13 till 18, I had a special program at school where I attended part-time and did a lot of my studies correspondence. And I traveled horse showing all over the place, a lot through the U.S. and across Canada, but it was great. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss it some days.
Do you still go riding?
Sometimes, not as often as I would like to, but whenever I can get out, I still have friends that have horses that say, hey, come on out and come for a ride. So
nice. It sounds to me like you've got a pretty good work-life balance happening.
I try. I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have crazy work weeks, but it's getting more under control. We're getting to a place now with the company where my team handles, the majority of stuff that needs to be done, and that does give me some freedom, but there are still lots of crazy work weeks where I'm the first one there and the last one to leave, but that's because I love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the what's your URL?
Bottomlinemarketing.ca.
What? And is that changing when you pivot? You
We're still working on that.
Yeah, okay.
Bottomline.com may have already been registered.
Oh.
And so we'll have to see. That's actually something that we have to sort out, to be honest.
Cool. And I guess sort of wrap up question here. Are you primarily Canadian? Do you dabble in American markets?
We do. So primarily North American clients. We have done work internationally and with some global clients, but I'll admit that the time change can be challenging sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we found that kind of North America is where we're trying to stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much for coming out and chatting with me.
Of course.
We covered so much ground.
It was awesome. This was really fun. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, thanks so much, Lisa.
Coming up next week, Mike Borthwick of New Dot Spot talks about his life as a young programmer and how he came to teach people the ins and outs of application road mapping and why software is never finished. Check out next week's episode, Rebel Rebel, every Monday.